everyone, welcome to Bytes.io. My name is Evaristo Salamese. I'm a senior software engineer here in Nigeria. Today, we're going to be discussing about Node.js and how to use Node.js to build a simple server. This course is for beginners to the Node.js environment, and today we'll take you step by step on how to build a simple server using Node.js. But before we get to the coding aspect, let's discuss what is Node.js. Node.js is an open source server environment. But what does that mean? This Node.js is a JavaScript runtime environment that includes everything you need to execute a program written in JavaScript. Node.js came into existence when the original developers of JavaScript extended it from something you could only run in the browser to something you could run on your machine as a standalone program. Node.js is built on the V8 engine, V8 JavaScript runtime engine that is currently used in your Chrome browser. Node.js is free. Node.js runs on various platforms, whether Windows, Linux, Unix, Mac OS. Node.js uses JavaScript on the server. So the advantage of Node.js is that if you know how to use JavaScript in the front end or you use JavaScript in the web browser, you can easily use that same knowledge to build a server application for your back end to serve your HTML file, to serve your dynamic content. What can Node.js do? Node.js can obviously generate dynamic page content. Node.js, you can use Node.js to create, open, read, write, delete, and close files on the server. In essence, you can use Node.js as a file server. You can use Node.js to collect form data. If you have a contact us form, if you have a registration form, if you have a payment form, you can use Node.js to collect the data from that form and save it to the file system, send it to another API, or add it to a database. Node.js can also be used to add, delete, modify data in your database, be it MySQL database, be it PostgreSQL database, be it Mongoose database, be it Mongo database, be it any database. Node.js can be used to add, delete, modify data in that database. What's Node.js file? Node.js file contains tasks that will be executed on certain events. One of such events is if a user is trying to access your server on a specific port, Node.js can be made to listen on that port and return a response to that user. Node.js file must be initiated on the server before any effect. You must define your Node.js file on the server before it can serve those files, before it can respond to any event. Node.js files have extensions .js, but that was before the time of TypeScript. Now, Node.js files can have the extension .ts or .js. Now, let's move to implementing a small server in Node.js. If you don't have your terminal open your terminal. Now open your terminal. Navigate to the directory where you usually put your project. Me is on my desktop, and the directory project. I'll just make a quick. Let me zoom that up. I'll make a quick directory for this specific project. Make a directory. Let's call it first server. I'll seed into that directory. Then I will open this directory in. Before I open that directory, let's initiate a Node.js application. To initiate a Node.js application, you need to have Node.js installed on your web browser on your system. If you don't have Node.js installed, just go to Node.js. Just search for Node.js on Google. Go to the first page there and download any of your preferred version of Node.js. In this course, the long-term support for now is 10.16.3. You can choose to use the latest, the current or the long-term support. But for this course, I am currently using 10.16.3, but your code should also work for any version of Node.js you are using, as long as you are not using a very ancient version. So let's go back to our terminal, and then if you have Node.js installed, you already have npm installed, or if you can use npm for this next step or yarn for this next step. Because most of you, if you are just installing Node.js, you have yarn installed. Let's use yarn for this. In your terminal, type npm init -y. Before I press that, let me explain what this does. And this command will initialize a Node.js application in your folder, and the -y flag is simply telling it to accept all the default questions. Maybe in another video, we'll look at the default question one by one and see how to answer them. But for now, let's just run this. Once you do that, it generates it initiates a Node.js application in that folder. Now, if you have Visual Studio Code, you can open that folder with code dots, and it will open that your current directory in Visual Studio. If you don't have Visual Studio, you can use application like Atom or Sublime. They will work exactly the same way. Now, if you opening this folder in Visual Studio, you will see that you have, let me zoom this up. What you have here is package.json. The package.json was generated by our npm init command. First of all, you see it's a JSON file, and inside the JSON file, you see the name of the application you just defined, the version, the description. If there's any description, I can just put my first Node.js application. The main is the main means the entry point of the application. Now it's set to index.js. You can change it to app.js, index.js. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you name the file exactly what where you create your server should be exactly the same name as what is here on that line. Then we have the script session. The script session is where you have the command that you can run from your terminal. Right now, we just have the test script that echo error. Then we have the keywords, the author, and the license. Now, to start, we just need to create our first we need to create this index.js. So just click on add index.js. In a subsequent article, you are going to see how to, we are going to discuss about modules and a lot of other things. But for now, what we want to do at this point is create a server. To create a server, all you need to do is require HTTP first to require the HTTP module. The HTTP module is a built-in module in Node.js. You don't need to install it or anything, it is already there. Now to create a server, all we need to do is to say http.createServer. That function takes a callback. That's an anonymous function. The anonymous function takes a request and response parameter. Now, what we need to do at this point is to respond to the user. We could do a lot of things at this point, but because this is a simple server that we're writing, we want to respond to the user. The first thing we do is to write a header, response.write head, and we'll put the status that we want to return, which is 200, and then we put the content type. We put the content type header. We'll explain this in other courses, but for now, just create your server. We'll just put test/plain. I want to return plain text here. Let me zoom this out a bit. Then we put uh, response.write. Response.write takes a string or whatever you want to return back to the user. So it's hello world hashtag newbies, and then at the end we call response.end. Once you call response.end, it should send this information to the user. But before you can start serving this as a server, you need to make it listening to a specific port. And in this case, we are listening on port 8081. That's all you need to run a server. Now go to your terminal and simply uh, type this command no index.js. That will run your server. And if you go to your uh, browser now and just type localhost 8081, you should see the string that you return back from the server saying hello world newbies. This is, I can zoom that so that you see it. That's what it's saying. This is what you've done. You've created a new server that is now serving this page. In the next video, we'll go more in depth into what you can use Node.js for. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe so that you can get upcoming video as soon as